Hello, I'm Bob Weir with another interview of interest to residents of North Texas. My guest today is Bryan Livingston, who is the mayor of Argyle, and he is now running this year for the council seat in Argyle, actually. But you are the mayor, and you also are managing partner and CEO of Capital Alliance Corporation. Thanks for being here, Bryan.
It's a pleasure to be with you, Bob.
If you would begin, please, by telling our viewers about the proposal by Oncor to build electric transmission lines in western Flower Mound.
You bet. So what Oncor is doing is they are reacting to direction from ERCOT, from the Electric Reliability Council of Texas, which is the system operator for the Texas grid. There are power reliability problems right over the horizon in our region because of our rate of growth. 82 people are moving into Denton County every day, and we have one of the major economic engines of the state of Texas in the Alliance Corridor on the Interstate 35 stretch from Fort Worth up to Denton, which is growing in terms of business as well as population. And ERCOT is predicting problems with power reliability just around the corner if we don't get additional power supplies via high tension transmission lines brought into the area pronto.
Right. Who makes the decision on where the line will be built?
The decision is made by the Public Utilities Commission of Texas, or the PUCT. Oncor is engaged. Oncor, our public power utility that provides most of the power to North Texas, has been asked to do a study by ERCOT that will be eventually submitted to the PUCT for approval. So Oncor is doing a study that looks at different transmission line locations across an area between Rome, Texas, and an area in western Flower Mound just southeast of FM 1171 and US 377.
Bryan, is this project needed because of the population growth?
In part, it's needed because of population growth, but it's also needed to give us reliability. We had the possibility of power shortages in the summer just passed, and we had a pretty graphic illustration of the problems you get into with power supplies when they're not available during Winter Storm Uri, the Valentine's Day storm back in 2021. So ERCOT doesn't want a repeat of those reliability issues, and the fact that we're growing so fast just layers more challenges onto our power supplies.
So this is primarily going to affect western Flower Mound and areas of Argyle?
It is. The study area extends from just north of Roanoke up to an area almost touching the city of Denton's southern boundary, and east and west into North Lake Justin and into western Flower Mound, as you say. So we have a number of jurisdictions that are affected by the study, and Oncor's study involves looking at 60,000 different segments or sections of high tension power line that might be built to cover eventually a little more than a 20-mile long stretch between Rome and this location in western Flower Mound.
So this will be a major project, of course, and it could interfere with some infrastructure, existing rights of way, some of the homes in the communities.
It's challenging. We've got a lot of residential communities on the ground in southern Denton County, and the Oncor study has to take into account existing rights of way that they might follow. They also have to try to avoid areas that create unnecessary interference. But the top priority is to make the power system more reliable. So that creates a challenge for our communities because some of the routes that the Oncor study includes actually go through residential neighborhoods.
And these are going to be outside, they're going to be above ground, right?
They are. These are monopole towers. They're over 100 feet tall, and they have rights of way that extend for 100 feet wide. So they are a challenge to put through areas that have already been built up.
I think some people are concerned about health, with the high tension line, whatever you call them, the electric line. Some people are worried about that over a period of time. So do you believe that there could be health concerns?
Well, it's not important that I believe it. In the state of Texas, we're one of 4 states that have taken the position that we don't know if electromagnetic frequency exposure causes health problems or not. So we're going to follow a policy that's called prudent avoidance. And the Public Utility Commission of Texas regulations and Oncor are going to be evaluating their routes based on minimizing EMF exposure to people that would be near the transmission line corridor.
You know, but there must be enough data on this by now to know whether or not it's a health concern, I would imagine. I know there are people living in the area would be worried about that, but as you say, they're studying it. Who pays for this, by the way?
The ratepayers, ultimately, the people who pay for electricity. The Public Utility Commission of Texas may make decisions that involve local jurisdictions or regional jurisdictions contributing money to the transmission line projects. One notable example, we had an undergrounding project in Frisco a few years back where the city actually contributed to taking the power lines underground.
Yeah, and that, I understand that's very expensive.
It's several times more expensive than so-called aerials.
Yeah, I heard something like 10 or 15 times more expensive than above ground. But that would be paid for by the users?
That is the normal way that power infrastructure is paid for. It's paid for by the ratepayers, and the PUCT decides, you know, how much money is acceptable for building a transmission line.
It's not taxpayer funded?
Well, I mean indirectly, because the
Okay,
ratepayers
because
are
of
all
the ratepayers,
taxpayers,
yeah.
right?
Okay. I know Flower Mound recently had Oncor there as guests, and they spoke about this, and I think the council voted to look into it more or something of that nature. I don't know, that nothing was done to pass it yet. But anyway, is the Army Corps of Engineers involved in this?
It is. I just want to dial back to when this process started. Oncor announced that they were going to do this transmission line location study over Thanksgiving of last year, and the deadline for submitting public comments was New Year's Day, or New Year's Eve. So we didn't have much time to react as cities and towns or as citizens, but we mobilized to get comments submitted to Oncor to comment on some of the routings that they had suggested that were really not going to be good for the towns and cities involved. We managed to get 2,000 comments put into Oncor to try to give the utility and give ultimately the Public Utilities Commission of Texas some input from the towns. So the Corps of Engineers property was not included in the study originally, and we think that that's a shame because there are opportunities to cross Corps of Engineers property if you can do a proper environmental assessment, but it takes several months, maybe up to 18 months to do that.
Yeah.
And Oncor didn't include those routes in their original proposal. So Mayor Reddick of Northlake and I proposed going through the Corps of Engineer property, and that is something that's being examined by Oncor and the Corps of Engineers today.
When would this project begin if it was passed, if it was going, and how long would it take?
Ultimately, it's easier to talk about when it's supposed to be online. ERCOT wants this new transmission line to be in service in May of 2025.
Yeah, and of course there's people who are concerned about their home values and what that might do to that, and who can blame them. All right, we're coming to to be grabbed by the clock here. So Bryan, is there anything you'd like to add before we close?
Well, I just want to let people know that I'm grateful for public support for the comments that we put into Oncor on getting locations for these transmission lines that won't have a negative impact on public safety or health or the environment. I mean, we've got a lot of old growth forest in southern Denton County that we want to try to preserve and protect. And so these transmission lines need to go in the right location so that we can have reliable power but have minimal impact on people, their home values, the natural environment that we prize so much, and their health and safety.
Sure. And there is, in the written portion, I have a lot more information on this, and people can read that also, and there's other information out there. So I want to thank you for being here Brian, and for giving the area some information on this, because I'm sure this is going to be a topic a lot of people will be concerned about. That's a major job being done. This is a big thing for the whole area out there. So I want to thank you again for being here.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate the opportunity to visit with you.
And thank you for watching.